SVP is mixing things up, and digital TV, it'll never be the same. SVP TV, we're family. We're gonna repeat for the love. SVP. Download the SVP app today on Roku, Apple, and Fire TV. Watch us. You know why? We're gonna repeat for the love. SVP TV.
Hello, Shelby County. My name is George Dempsey Summers. I am running for the Register of Deeds in the upcoming general election. I'm a lifelong Memphian, married of 20 years. I am currently employed with Shelby County government of 10 years. Prior to that, I was employed with the Memphis City Schools for 31 years. I have been behind the scenes working to serve the community for over 41 years. The reason why I'm running for office is the law on the books needs to be changed. Here in Shelby County, quitclaim deeds are being forged and filed in the Register of Deeds office. That means they are stealing your property. I am asking for your vote to stop the steal. Vote for me, George Dempsey Summers. Early voting, July the 15th. Election day, August the 4th. Stop the steal. Vote George Dempsey Summers, Register of Deeds.
Paid for by friends of George Summers.
4 years ago, we showed that a kid from Whitehaven, the son of a high school guidance counselor and a repairman, could serve and lead in our community. We showed that our greatest strength in our community is our people. Our community is full of young and young at heart, hopeful and successful, native Memphians and millennials who chose the 901. With your help, we can show the world that we can do it again. Let's get started.
Towanna Murphy Show, that's what's up.
That's what's up. Towanna Murphy Show. That's what's up. Towanna Murphy Show.
That's what's up. The Towanna Murphy Show.
In the last 4 years, you've seen the true colors of everybody that didn't like us. So I'm not gonna say names right now, but only thing I'm gonna say is you better hope your ass don't get in trouble. And you need Murphy to get you out of it.
That's what's up, the Towanna Murphy Show. When you got to tune in, want the real in your host. What's going on, man? She knows the most. Memphis and Mid-South, tune in, cause the diva is on.
That's what's up.
And good evening. You're watching the Towanna Murphy Show right here on SVP TV, Comcast 17, Comcast 31. You can also watch this show on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, On Demand, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the show. We have an amazing show for you. As many of you know, we are in election season, and this election season is important because we are voting on the DA's race and of course the Shelby County Mayor's race and the judges. I think we got a little bit over 100 judges that's running for to be elected or re-elected for their seats. So we are encouraging you to vote, and I told you before, from here until the end of next year, I'll be encouraging you to vote because we have election season in two years straight, back to back. Back to back, we got 2 years straight. So next year we have the city council, we have the city mayors, and we got about 1,000 people that's in that race. It is a zillion people there. So I wanted to make sure I specified that and let y'all know that that's what's going on. But tonight I have a special guest with me. And of course, I told you guys that I would allow you to call in and speak with him or ask him questions. Keep it short, keep it to the point. And I promise y'all I'm gonna hang up if y'all ask stupid. I promise y'all I'm gonna hang up. If y'all call ask stupid, I promise y'all I'm going to hang up on y'all because y'all know y'all can ask some stupid questions. So I just want to make sure I told y'all that in the beginning. So keep it short, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. But he is running for district attorney. He is Steve Mulroy. And if many of you have been following him, we've been watching the debates and you guys have questions. So I would allow you to ask the questions when I bring him on after my first commercial break. I just wanted to make sure I said that. In more news, I just have to say this. We lost Mia. Many of y'all know Mia from, she's the executive director, I think, of Tilt, right? Yeah, she's the executive director of Tilt, and we lost her in a car accident yesterday. So I'm asking you to keep her family in prayer because that's a loss, a tremendous loss to us here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I just wanted to make sure I did say that about her because I met her a while back, but I just wanted to make sure that we showed our respect and love here at SVP TV. So we are sending our condolences to the family. Listen, I'm making the beginning short because I gotta bring Steve on, so I'm gonna make this short, real short. So I'm getting ready to go to commercial break, and when I come out of commercial break, the next voice you will hear and see is Steve Mulroy, who is running for district attorney. You're watching the Towanna Murphy Show right here on SVP TV, Comcast 17, Comcast 31. You can also watch this show on Roku, Apple TV, on demand, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Remember, news is news. Facts is facts. Miss Ruby sung the blues, and Towanna gonna bring you the news. I'll be right back right after this.
4 years ago, we showed that a kid from Whitehaven, the son of a high school guidance counselor and a repairman, could serve and lead in our community. We showed that our greatest strength in our community is our people. Our community is full of young and young at heart, hopeful and successful, native Memphians and millennials who chose the 901. With your help, we can show the world that we can do it again. Let's get started.
Hello, Shelby County. My name is George Dempsey Summers. I am running for the Register of Deeds in the upcoming general election. I'm a lifelong Memphian, married of 20 years. I am currently employed with Shelby County government of 10 years. Prior to that, I was employed with the Memphis City Schools for 31 years. I have been behind the scenes working to serve the community for over 41 years. The reason why I'm running for office is the law on the books needs to be changed. Here in Shelby County, quitclaim deeds are being forged and filed in the Register of Deeds office. That means they are stealing your property. I am asking for your vote to stop the steal. Vote for me, George Dempsey Summers. Early voting, July the 15th. Election day, August the 4th. Stop the steal. Vote George Dempsey Summers, Register of Deeds.
Paid for by friends of George Summers.
Hey folks, it's Issa Haddad here. I got some good news and a special invitation for you to come see me here at Sunrise Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with new, pre-owned, and certified vehicles to choose from. I can get you financed when no one else can. Come on by, bring your family. I treat you like family. Come see me, Issa, here at the #1 dealership in the Mid-South, 4605 Houston Levy Road, Sunrise Collierville. Come on down, check out my inventory with hundreds of vehicles to choose from, pre-owned, new, and certified.
Good news from Sunrise Chevrolet. Get in your new vehicle today. Come on in, ask for Issa. Bankrupt, slow pay, bad credit, it's okay. Let Issa put you in your brand new truck or car today when you shop at Sunrise Chevrolet Collierville.
And don't forget, ask for me, Issa.
And let's put Robert up.
You know me as co-convener of the People's Convention. I provided leadership to end discrimination in Memphis Fire Department and Memphis Housing. 1. Save the National Civil Rights Museum from being sold for $1 and end Kellogg lockout strike. 1. Campaign for public education funding at the ballot box. Sponsor legislation to ensure safety for workers handling solid waste, teach respect and discipline, and drive while you pay. Passed. Ensured equal rights for Title I program, CDL testing, probation and parole release, health care benefits, environmental justice, pipeline, and compensation for employees and businesses during COVID-19. Passed legislation to restore the military boat ramp and a $50,000 study to build the veterans home in Shelby County. You know me. Vote Barbara Cooper with the proven record. Always the fourth primary. Vote for bcooper.com. Opt out. Call 888-296-8513. Paid for by the committee to re-elect Barbara Cooper, B. Cooper treasurer.
And we are back here watching the Towanna Murphy Show right here on SVP TV, Comcast 17, Comcast 31, Roku, Apple TV, On Demand, YouTube, and Facebook Live. And welcome back. I am with my special guest who is running for district attorney against Amy Wyrick. And we all know that has been an uphill battle. But I have my special guest, Steve Mulroy, on the Towanna Murphy Show today. Welcome to the Towanna Murphy Show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. You know what? Let's start off with, when did you decide that you wanted to run for district attorney?
Oh, that must have been last fall. I was actually recruited to run. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought I was done with politics. I was very happy as a law professor with tenure and summers off. Mm-hmm. It's nice to have summers off.
Yeah, it is.
But I was recruited by some reform-minded lawyers who said, look, we can't have another 8 years of what we've had for the last 11 years. And it's time for you to step up and make the argument for change and reform. And here we are, 3 weeks out.
3 weeks out. So you was actually recruited for it. So now, since being recruited for DA and you actually won the primaries, now we're here in the general election. And you have been going to different debates with Amy. What are some of the things that you see that you know not right? I'm just saying some.
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
means
right. We
some.
don't have time to list
all
the
things. That's why I said some of the things that you see that we could change when you are elected as DA.
Yeah, there's a number of different things. I mean, first of all, this is a DA's office that opposes DNA testing after convictions, even though that's the best way to decide whether we got the right person or whether the real rapist or killer is still at large. It poses a conviction review unit like they have in Nashville, where they go back and they check on problematic cases and make sure that we don't have a wrongful conviction. It works very well in Nashville. We've got a system where we transfer more children to adult court in one county alone than all other counties in Tennessee combined. 95% of them are black.
Yeah.
And this is a situation that an independent federal court monitor called, and this is a direct quote, a toxic combination for African American youth.
I seen that.
And then, there's a lot of things, but I'll just end with this one other one. We need to fix our broken bail system. We, again, have the worst record in the state for the number of people who were languishing behind bars at 201 Poplar, haven't been convicted of any crime now.
Right.
And they're there for no other reason than they can't afford cash bail. 1 out of 4 of them are there for more than a year and a half. The longer you're there, the more likely you are to be black.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a question for you. You said something because they can't post bail. So if they have a bail of $500, and we know that that's 10% of that. So if they can't pay the money, that means they sit until somebody pays it for that little bitty amount?
That's exactly right. And a large percentage of those people, Towanna, will eventually be released without any kind of conviction. But by then, it's too late. You've disrupted their lives. If you kept somebody in there, you've disrupted their families, their job, their education, their career, and everything. And you made it even harder for them to earn a living when they're eventually back out on the street. So it's actually not making us safer. It's making us less safe.
Right.
And it is really kind of a shame because, these people, some of them have been, charged only with nonviolent offenses, and it's really kind of a shame that we treat them the way we do.
Right, because they're just sitting. They're just sitting. Call or hold for 1 second. Just hold for 1 second. So they're just sitting there, waiting for somebody to pay their bill, and if they can't pay their bill, they'll be there for years.
Yes,
and
in some cases,
for like $50.
In some cases, they've been there as long as 7 years waiting for trial. And a lot of times the bail is much higher than $500. I mean, $50,000 bonds are not uncommon.
Wow. I didn't see, that's one part I didn't know. I didn't know that people just sitting there with bails that's low and they can't get out. They be sitting there for 5-6 years because they can't get them out.
People say, oh, well, that's okay because you could pay just 10%. But if you pay 10% to a bail bond company, then you never get that back. Even if eventually you're acquitted or the charges are dismissed and it was shown that you were in the right and they were in the wrong, you don't get that money back. And for a lot of people, that's going to be a real problem financially.
It is. I'm sorry, callers. Call back 901-244-6874. 901-244-6874. I'm so sorry, but I had to hear this because a lot of us I wasn't sure. I wasn't even aware of that. That was just, man,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Really? So you mean to say, if my producer went to jail and her bail was only $100 and she couldn't pay that $100, I mean, she gonna sit
That's right.
until she can pay it?
Well, until a trial. So that trial may take a year or it may take 3 years. And during that time, she'll sit there, even though she hasn't been convicted of a crime. Now, if there was some reason to think that she was a risk of flight, she would flee the jurisdiction, or if she was an actual danger to the community, then that'd be one thing. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the only reason they're there is because they can't afford whatever bail was set.
Yeah, I have to be more careful. So when you are elected, what would you do in situations like that?
Well, I would issue guidelines to the prosecutors to say don't seek pre-trial detention. You know, if putting aside some very serious violent offenses, putting them to the side, the presumption should be in favor of letting people be released on their own recognizance until they're convicted, you know, pending trial, absent some specific evidence that that particular defendant is either a danger to the community or a risk of flight if we don't think they're going to show back up for their court date.
Right, right. That's just something to think about, Steve.
Yeah.
It's just something to think about because our jails are overcrowded.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to figure out why they so overcrowded, but now we know some of the reasons why they are overcrowded, and we have people even being convicted of crimes they haven't even done.
Well, of course. So see, you know, the Criminal Justice Reform Organization, local organization called Just City, has a bail fund to help out people in this situation. So they get private contributions and then they help people pay bail. Towanna, 60% of those people end up eventually having their charges dismissed. Now, I don't know what that suggests to you, but to me it suggests that there are a lot of people who end up pleading guilty just to get out of 201 Poplar.
Oh, that's stupid. I'm just saying. I ain't mean to say it like that, but I'll keep forgetting them on air. Yeah, but it's stupid to me. I mean, that is just stupid. And I see a whole lot of things, Steve, that needs to be changed within the 8 years that Amy has been in office. In fact, I mentioned it a while back when USA Today said that she was the worst DA ever. So with her being the worst DA ever, because I've seen some stuff she's done, I've seen some stuff she's swept under the rug. We're not going to even bring that up, but everybody knows what she's done. So when I heard the debate, I was kind of like at all, because it's like she's talking like she's done nothing and that she's just this great DA. And it's like, no, you're not. You know, we know what you've done.
Yeah.
We know what's going on. We've seen everything that's been happening in the city. So why would you get up there and act like you just this perfect DA and you've done so much good for the city when we know you haven't done anything?
Yeah. There was a Harvard Law School study that came out a few years ago, and it identified this DA's office as the worst in the state.
Yeah, the worst.
For having convictions overturned because the prosecutors broke the rules.
Yeah. So what do you want to see happen? When elected, what do you want to change?
Well, if I'm fortunate enough to be elected DA, I'd like to change the culture, Towanna, away from a win-at-all-costs, mentality where you measure success by your conviction rate and how many years you lock people up away for, and more towards are we decreasing the recidivism rate? Are we decreasing the racial disparities that occur in our criminal justice system? So I think I would want to do that. I think I'd also want to increase diversity in the office.
Okay, I got you. We got to take some calls. I didn't hear
Sure.
on. Caller, you on the air?
Hello?
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you, caller.
Oh, I may have the wrong number. The radio station or something?
Yes, it's a TV station.
Oh, well, I don't want to be on TV.
Well, then you called the wrong number.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you, right? Listen, anybody want to call to ask Steve some questions? The number is 901-244-6874. 901-244-6874. Caller, you on the air?
Hi, good evening. Hi, Towanna and Mr. Mulroy. I just heard everything you just said, and I like what you said. I've been a lifelong Democrat. My name is Dr. Siggy. I've been a lifelong Democrat, but as of now, I have become an independent. It has nothing to do with you or anybody that ran in the race, but I just did not like how the Shelby County Democrat Party behaved during the primary. And I actually had every intention not to vote in the DA's race, knowing I should, because the current DA record is horrible. and she is one of the top 10 worst DAs in the United States. And she's also been censored by the Tennessee Supreme Court's Board of Professional Responsibility. So she really should be out of office. But I'm just going to be honest with you, Mr. Mulroy. The only reason I am about to go on and vote in your race, because I was going to go, I'm going to go vote, but the only reason why I was going to vote in your race is because Linda Harris had went on and endorsed you, and I want you to know that. And it's nothing personal. It's just that I just didn't like how the party behaved, not you or anyone else but the party. So this is what I would like you to answer for me, because one thing that I think that has hurt the Democrat Party, and I believe it's hurting you, is using the word defund the police department. Because many people believe that means to get rid of the police department and policing. And I know it's not. But I want you to explain that to those who are listening, what all you really mean when you say defund the police department. Because she has her commercial that shows that real loud and bold at the end. And that's what people are going to see. So explain to them what you really mean by that. And also, and lastly, my last question is, I've been following a case that's going on in Shelby County right now. I'm not going to discuss what case it is. However, there are many police officers that take their the oath to serve and protect seriously. They believe in that. However, there are also officers who wear the uniform to commit crimes and to hunt and kill. Will you be a DA who will aggressively prosecute an officer when the evidence is there to do so, or will you just allow the police department to give a written reprimand and go into that officer's file? So that is what I would like to hear you answer for me tonight, Mr. Mulroy.
Sure. So I'll answer them in the order that you asked them. The first thing is I want to make very clear about this, and I've been glad to have the opportunity to address this. I have never been for defunding the police. I have never supported that. Her commercial to the contrary is just basically a bold-faced lie. I've said from the beginning of this campaign, and I'll say it again, I think we should spend more money on police. I think we should hire more cops, because the data shows that when we do that, crime goes down. I think we need to pay them better. I think we need to train them better. I think we need to pay them and give them the kind of benefits that we can attract and recruit qualified police persons and deputy sheriffs and all the rest. And I think we need to train them with de-escalation tactics so that they don't have excessive force, and implicit bias so that they don't do racial profiling and things of that nature. Now, the TV commercial that you have seen that Ms. Wyrick is running is a blatant, dishonest ad. What they do is they take a photo of me at a Starbucks rally where I was marching with civil rights leader, national civil rights leader, Dr. William Barber, who came to Memphis, and we protested the firing of 7 Starbucks workers who were fired for trying to organize a union, which is against federal law. And they cropped the photo so that you can't see what the sign is that I'm holding. And then they put it next to an entirely different photo that was an anti-police rally that I never attended and didn't know anything about. And they used it to intentionally mislead the voter into thinking that I was for that. And it's absolutely not true. Now, as to what you said about police who break the law, I think that the vast majority of police and deputy sheriffs are honest, decent people who are doing the best they can under very difficult circumstances and a very tough job. Now, there are a few bad apples, and when anyone breaks the law, then they need to be held accountable. And that's true for regular criminals, it's true for police, and it's also true for prosecutors, like Ms. Wyrick, who has had cases overturned, convictions overturned, due to prosecutorial misconduct 7 different times, including by the Tennessee Supreme Court in a unanimous opinion, by the highest court of appeals in the federal system in this region, and as you yourself mentioned, caller, by the ethics panel of the Tennessee Bar. I think everybody needs to be held accountable for their actions, and there'll be no special treatment regardless of whether you're a prosecutor, a police officer, or just an ordinary criminal.
Does it answer your question?
Thank you, Mr. Mulroy, for answering that question, and I believe you cleared up the funding
part that many people misunderstanding. I think you cleared that up for a lot of people to now fully understand, because I already understood, but it's just that I wanted you to really explain it, and you explained it perfectly. And I agree with everything you just said, and I look forward to casting my vote for you and hope you win.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And that's the, and I'm glad you cleared it up, because I said that too. I was like, oh, he got to explain this defunding thing. But you did explain it. And so that's what many people were kind of geared on, like, okay, he's talking about defunding the police. You know, we need our police. And so that's why when you explain it, now we understand why, because they do need the extra training.
Yeah.
We need that. We need to use that to make sure they have the special training and we get what was done, because we don't have police officers.
Yeah, there's a need for more of them. You know, and what I've done, Towanna, on a number of occasions publicly, I've called upon the TV stations to run fact check articles to point out the inaccuracies, the blatant lies, really, in that TV commercial. And I think the TV stations that take money to run the ad have an obligation to do at least one story checking the facts on it. So far, that hasn't happened.
But you know what? That's the one thing that I've seen, and they run it on social media. They supposed to do fact check, and they're not doing that. With certain people, they won't do fact check. Like with me, if I put something up there, they'll flag me immediately and was like, "Oh, you didn't fact check this." But so how could you have a DA put false information up there and not fact check it and take it down?
Yeah.
So I think that's not fair to any of us.
I agree. Yeah.
It's time to go what? Oh, it's time to go to commercial break. Listen, I got to get ready to go to a quick commercial break because my producer keep me on time today, because I really would run over time. I got to go to a quick commercial break. When I come back, you can ask more questions with my special guest who is running for District Attorney, Steve Mulroy. Again, the number is 901-244-6874. That's 901-244-6874. Remember, news is news. Facts is facts. Miss Ruby sung the blues, and Towanna gonna bring you news. I'll be right back right after this.
4 years ago, we showed that a kid from Whitehaven, the son of a high school guidance counselor and a repairman, could serve and lead in our community. We showed that our greatest strength in our community is our people. Our community is full of young and young at heart, hopeful and successful, native Memphians and millennials who chose the 901. With your help, we can show the world that we can do it again. Let's get started.
Hello, Shelby County. My name is George Dempsey Summers. I am running for the Register of Deeds in the upcoming general election. I'm a lifelong Memphian, married of 20 years. I am currently employed with Shelby County government of 10 years. Prior to that, I was employed with the Memphis City Schools for 31 years. I have been behind the scenes working to serve the community for over 41 years. The reason why I'm running for office is the law on the books needs to be changed. Here in Shelby County, quitclaim deeds are being forged and filed in the Register of Deeds office. That means they are stealing your property. I am asking for your vote to stop the steal. Vote for me, George Dempsey Summers. Early voting, July the 15th. Election day, August the 4th. Stop the steal. Vote George Dempsey Summers, Register of Deeds.
Paid for by friends of George Summers.
And we're back. You're watching the Towanna Murphy Show right here on SVP TV, Comcast 17 and Comcast 31. You can also watch this show live on Roku. You can download the app to your phone, your Android, your TV. Some of the TVs already have it. I meant to tell y'all that. Because if you go to your Roku TV, the SVP TV app is right there. All you gotta do is click it and watch all the shows live. In fact, this show is live right now on Roku, Apple TV, On Demand, YouTube, and Facebook Live. You can watch this show all over the world. And if you're watching it from your home, you can watch it on channel 17 and 31. And I'm back with my guest, Steve Mulroy, who is running for District Attorney as we get closer to early voting, which is this Friday, right?
That's correct.
Early voting is this Friday.
Yes.
And so I asked about the change that you wanted to see in this election, but we also wanted to focus on, like you said, the people that's being arrested. I asked a question the other day. I said, were we open to jump and grab to minimize the crime in the city and the violence? Because that was one of the things that worked a long time ago. I don't know if you remember.
What do you mean by jump and grab? I'm sorry.
We had this jump and grab where they did a while back where when you see a whole lot of young men on the corner, they jump out and grab them. And it worked. It kept them off the streets because they caught so many young men that was carrying guns that was not registered, that were stolen. They caught guns, drugs, and it kind of minimized the crime in the cities because they was just actually jumping out and grabbing. And so some people were saying, well, they can't do that to my kid, but if your kid is not doing anything, then it shouldn't be a problem. Because if your kid is being safe, is not doing anything, and they jump and grab that kid, they check the kid out, the kid ain't doing anything, then fine, you can let that kid go. But if the kid is carrying guns and things of that nature, then we should be able to get them. You see what I'm saying? So we had jump and grab a while back, and it worked, but some people got mad at it. Carla, you on the air. And I think we should bring it back. That's just me. Carla, you on the air.
Hey, yeah, is this a place where they rent the banquet building?
You know who that is, right? You know who it is. I have distractions that's calling because he's here. So we'll leave that right where it is. I'll tell you about that too.
Okay.
We'll talk about that one too. We're going to talk about that one too. I'm going to tell you what it is. But we had Jump and Grab and we had Blue Crush, Operation Blue Crush. And those things kept our streets safe. Of course, Amy did away with it because she figured, too many people was complaining about it. But it actually worked and it minimized the crime and violence in our city. And so the way it operated, it really did help. And so parents got mad, sure, but most of their kids were carrying concealed weapons that was not legal.
Yeah. So, under the law, in order to stop somebody and frisk them, you have to have specific evidence to suspect that they themselves are carrying. It's called reasonable suspicion under the law. And if you don't have reasonable suspicion and you do that, then you're violating their rights and then any conviction can be thrown out. And if you do it only in certain neighborhoods, so you're disproportionately targeting innocent people of color, then of course that's going to get the community, alienated from the police. So there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. We need to be careful about it. New York City had something similar called stop and frisk.
Right.
But we eventually found out that over 90% of the people that were stopped were completely innocent, but they kept getting stopped over and over and over again because they kept targeting the same neighborhoods, and it really just alienated the community from the police, and they stopped cooperating with the police, which is a problem because if the police can't get community cooperation, they can't solve crimes. So there's a right way to do it, and we need to do it based on individualized suspicion, and then it's good. Now, Operation Blue Crush is a good idea because you use data to figure out hotspots. Which parts of the city are the ones where the crime keeps happening over and over again?
Right.
And then you deploy the police accordingly. And I think that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
I think that along with community policing ought to be done. And like I said, we need more police. We need to pay them better. We need to train them better. That's really what we need to do. I think we need to refocus on violent crime. We spend far too much time prosecuting things like marijuana possession and people who are late on fines and fees, protesters, people like Pam Moses, who was prosecuted because the probation department told her that she was eligible to vote. Turns out they told her wrong, and so she relied on what they said, and then she got a 6-year sentence for it. And we need to get away from that stuff and focus on the stuff that matters, like carjacking and homicide and domestic assault and things of that nature. I think if we do that and we get more police, we can help out with crime. And the last thing I would say about that is that if we do all these other reforms I was talking about, fixing our bail system, juvenile court reform, stopping the discrimination that we see in the system, then the public is going to have their confidence restored in the fairness of our system, which right now is at an all-time low, particularly in the African American community. And if we can do that and restore public confidence, then the community will cooperate with law enforcement in a way that they haven't been in recent years. They'll provide tips, they'll serve as witnesses, they'll report crimes, and that really, Towanna, is what we need to bend the curve on violent crime, which has been out of control.
Out of control
for the last decade.
And it has, and not only that, what we need to do to stop the road rage that we have.
Yes.
The fast driving and the shootings,
drag racing,
the drag
and the
racing,
road rage
and the road rage
shootings.
shootings. So, what can we do to minimize that as well? Because that has gotten out of hand.
Yeah.
It has gotten out of hand.
So for the drag racing stuff, we need to have increased law enforcement presence out on the roads to catch them and stop them and then prosecute them. I know that we had gotten some help from the state troopers, and that's certainly something that we need to continue and pursue. With the road rage stuff, a lot of this is just that as we get flooded with more and more guns, more and more gun deaths occur.
Yeah.
And unfortunately the state legislature hasn't been cooperating. They have been, over the years, scaling back on sensible gun safety regulations, which may work for rural counties, but it sure doesn't work for Shelby County and Memphis.
Right.
And we need to do what we can to try to, have reasonable safety regulations, common sense safety regulations of guns.
Because what we deal with here on a everyday basis, and we just need a change. We need something different. We need a new DA that's going to look at it on a different realm, because it looks like to us, to the people, that we're not being heard.
Right.
We're not being seen.
Well, African Americans are 90% of the defendants in this town and 90% of the victims in this town, right? And so, the African American community gets it from both ends.
Right.
And that's why we really need to work on erasing the racial disproportionalities that we see in the system, which are everywhere and have been found by courts.
We see it all the time, because we are, almost the majority. 68% is African American of Memphis.
In Memphis, and then 55% in the county.
55% in the county. So if we have that, and I've seen, this is just me personally, I've seen a white man get less time than a black man on the same charge.
Oh, my old shop, I used to work for the Bill Clinton Justice Department as a civil rights lawyer. And my old shop proved statistically that in juvenile court, even if you do an apples to apples comparison, you control for how serious the offense is and what kind of criminal history they have.
Right.
Pound for pound, if you were a black teen, you were 3 times more likely to get the book thrown at you than if you were a white teen. And we never fixed that problem. What happened was the Trump Justice Department came in and unilaterally pulled the plug on federal court monitoring. I think we need to bring that back. So does Tarek Sugarman, who's running for juvenile court judge. So do the Democrats on the county commission.
Right.
Now, while we're talking about racial fairness, I'd point out that we have a district attorney's office where 85% of the prosecutors are white in a county where about 90% of the criminal defendants and victims are black. I think there's something wrong with this picture.
Very wrong with this picture, because we don't have a chance of hell, to be honest. We really don't. And we want somebody in there that's going to change that. And we have to change it, because, like I said, we got so many innocent people that's sitting in jail.
And Towanna, I would say, I agree with you, and I would say to the viewers at home, if you like the way things have been going the last few years or the last decade, then you can vote for the status quo. But if you don't like what's been going on, then I think you should vote for change. You should give me an opportunity to see if I can reform the system. And voting for change means not voting for the incumbent, but voting for me.
No. And because some people don't know, and I should have did this in the beginning, but some people don't know what your background is. So explain to them some of your background.
Yeah, I was a civil rights lawyer for the Bill Clinton Justice Department. And then after that, I was a federal prosecutor. Then for the last 22 years, I've been a law professor at the University of Memphis, where I teach and publish in those areas: criminal law, civil rights, constitutional law. So I've taught an entire generation of Memphis lawyers to be both prosecutors and criminal defense lawyers. A lot of the prosecutors that are in that office right now, in the DA's office, are my former students. I keep in touch with them. I know them. Every one of those 22 years that I've been a law professor, Towanna, I have done cases for free in federal and state court at the trial and appellate level, in the criminal justice system, trying to reform the law and create positive precedent, because I took a look at situations and said, that's not fair.
Right. And because you've seen that, you've seen a need, but everybody don't think like that, Steve. Can I just say that? Everybody don't think like that, like that's not fair. it's just because we black. Okay, it's fair. Even though it's not fair.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even it's not fair, but it's fair.
They're so used to it being that way
Yeah.
that they can't imagine any other way.
They can't imagine any other way. So everything we do, so that's why I tell people all the time, we don't have a chance at hell right now. If we keep aiming, and this is just me speaking now, this is not Steve, this is me speaking. We don't have a chance in hell if we keep aiming in there, because we see what happened. I had a young lady talk to me the other day. Her son is in jail, sitting in jail, and they gave him 5 years for a small little thing of weed. Just small. It wasn't even an ounce. It was just like a joint. And they gave him 3 years for that. And because, like I said, Tyreek, recently. So Tyreek, and I actually spoke at county commissioner about that. And I'm like, Judge Michael, I mean, I met George Michael. I like Judge Michael, but no, I'm lying. I'm telling you, I'm lying. No, I'm lying. Because he gave him that sentence, and it was just a joint. That was it, a small joint. And you gave this young man 3 years for a small joint. Those are the things that we need to change.
Yeah.
And that's why Tyreek Sugarman is running for that position, because
right.
we have to have fairness all the way around. That's not fair that this young boy, he's only 16, you gave him 3 years for a joint.
Right.
And that's not fair.
Right.
And so I spoke about that at the county commissioners, because I'm like, they need to have an audit. And so
You're talking about the racial law?
The racial law, right? We need to have an audit. It needs to be audited. So when you become the DA, will you do a full audit?
Well, so I've already said that I support the racial audit, but I think actually we could go further, and like the county commission, we could welcome Department of Justice oversight again over juvenile court. And I know Tarek Sugarman has said he's in favor of that.
Yeah.
And I'm in favor of it as well. And that's actually funny. There's a great article in Sunday's Commercial Appeal, the Viewpoint section. It's on page 2, the Viewpoint section, and it's written by Ms. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy's daughter, who heads a National Criminal Justice Reform Organization. And she makes this point. She talks about the Pam Moses case. She talks about some other cases, and she says, the racial audit's a great idea, but we need to go further and have the Department of Justice come back in.
Yeah, and that's where I was headed. We just got to do that, because in Memphis we got to reshape this whole thing. Because it's disproportionate. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
And so those are some things that people were stressing about that. Like it's just that it's not fair.
Yeah, we need transformational change. And the only way to do that is get change at the top.
That's it. So you'll be at the top.
We'll see.
You win, you at the top.
God willing. God willing.
God willing, you win, you at the top. You at the top, you have the ability to change.
I don't know, Towanna, if people understand just how powerful the DA's office is.
It is powerful.
One single person has virtually unlimited discretion over when to charge, when not to charge harsh, to charge lenient, to seek bail, not to seek bail, to seek the child being transferred to adult court, what plea bargains to agree to. Even the county mayor and the city mayor have to get 7 votes on the county commission and the city council to do important things. The DA, just one person makes all those decisions. Yeah. And it's an 8-year term.
Yeah, and you make that one decision. So Amy can't deny the fact that she has wrongly convicted these people, because it's just her making the decisions for everybody. And I tell them all the time, I said, the DA's office is bigger than the mayor's seat. It is bigger than the mayor's seat. She don't have to go through 7 votes. Right. She don't have to go through anything. So she stood up there and she lied, because it's her. She's the one making the decisions. One person, Amy Wyrick,
the buck stops
makes
with the DA. There's no question.
Exactly. So she knows every case that come across her desk. So she knows if we're gonna try this kid as an adult or we're gonna let this kid go. She makes that decision. So all decisions come through her. So how could she just lie like that? Like with the Choosy case, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Choosy case. How could she do that?
Yeah.
How could she done that?
Well, that's, it's funny because she talks how much, she cares about the victims and how she wants to be aggressive. But the Choosy case is a good example where they're not really being very aggressive at all. They're not going after the right person. They're not going after the person that needs to be gone after. And I can understand why, people who cared about Choosy would be upset about that.
Right, because I'm upset about it.
Yeah.
I'm upset, and it's like she's talking out the side of her neck.
Do you know Diamond?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just talking to Diamond today about this very case. Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how could she make a decision like that. Now, and everybody's upset about it. Everybody's upset. So just to kind of put a little twist in it. So if you were the DA and you had to make a decision about the Choosy case, what would your decision have been?
So I'm going to have to say that, I haven't reviewed the file. I don't know all the evidence, so I would be reluctant to make a definitive pronouncement, But from what I have heard, it sounds to me like they may have gone after the wrong person, and the person that does need to be gone after is not being pursued. And I would say this, if I were lucky enough to be a district attorney, I would definitely look into that case very seriously.
Okay, because there's a whole lot of cases that you probably have to go back and look at.
Well, that's why we want a conviction review unit like they have in Nashville.
Yeah, like they have in Nashville.
They look back over the cases that maybe have been problematic and see if we made a mistake and own up to it if we did.
Right.
Every few months, Nashville has a headline about somebody who's been exonerated thanks to the work of the conviction review unit. And there's really no reason why we couldn't do that here, except that Ms. Wyrick opposes it.
Yeah, but you already know that. She opposes it anyway. So that's why we are where we are now. And it's like, do they actually see what's going on? I just don't think they really paying attention to how serious this is.
The voters or the DA's office?
The DA's office, the voters. I mean, it's just us. They don't really understand how serious this seat is.
My view is that the DA leadership is so convinced of the rightness of their decisions that they're not sufficiently open to the idea that they may have made a mistake, and that explains why they persist in the Purvis Payne case. When it's clear that he was intellectually disabled and not eligible for the death case. They oppose DNA testing post-conviction. They oppose the conviction review unit because they're so convinced that they're right. And as for the voters, I don't blame the voters for anything except that I think people like you and your show can help make sure the voters understand just how important the DA's race is, how powerful a position it is. It's an 8-year term. It is the most important race on the Shelby County ballot this year. The state party chair for the Democratic Party, Hendrell Remus, has said that this is the most important race in Tennessee, and that's like up there with the governor's race because of what's going on.
Going on. And even Roland Martin stated it. Roland Martin stated, like, in Memphis, the DA's race is the most important race.
Yeah.
He even pulled Amy's background. He was like, this is absurd.
You're right. And by the way, I forgot to mention that this case is getting national attention.
It is.
Huffington Post did a good article about it a month ago, and the singer John Legend.
John Legend.
Right, he's written about this race and mentioned me in a USA Today guest editorial. And
For real?
Yeah.
I like John Legend.
John Legend has been talking to us.
I like John Legend.
Yeah.
And so we need to do something a little different. I'm going to bring that up as soon as we come off air so I can tell you what my idea is. I got an idea now, Steve.
Okay, I'm
stick
sure
with
you
me.
do.
I got a good one. I got a good idea. This may work then. This may work as well. Well, how many minutes we got now? What, 5? I got 7 minutes. I'm telling you, I got an idea.
Okay.
I got a good idea.
All
it's
right.
going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to work. It's going to work. I'm telling you, I'll be thinking. I'm telling you, Steve. I'll be thinking because I'm just so eager for change. And because I see it all the time, even with our educational system and how our kids are so uneducated, even if you go to the system, even if you just take a walk through the jail cells and ask them if they could write their names or even if they could spell it, they can't. They can't read or write.
Well, that's the education problem,
That's the
right?
education problem.
Yeah.
But even because we got the education problem, that still spills over to the crime and violence.
Of course it does.
Because they don't know how to read and write. And so it comes over to all they know is street life. So that's another thing that you probably can implement when you win. Because I got an idea. But I got an idea. But when you win, you know what I'm saying? Because we can implement that because if it starts at the top. And you'll be at the top. So you can implement education, even in jail. They can do education. If they can't read and write, then they should be able, if they got to be there for a long time, they need to know how to read and write. I'm just saying. That's just part of the things that happens. And so you have laid out everything that you needed to lay out for this race. And thank you so much for clarifying that with us about defunding the police, because all of us we was in the uproar about that. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I was at the church like, Steve.
It's just an out and out lie. It's just such a shame that they're allowed to get away with that.
Yeah. So because I was like, Steve. I was in the back like, Steve. This is get out to what I said. Oh man. I said, you got to explain that one.
Yeah.
But you explained it, and so you got a lot of people at ease about what you said and how you said it. But we do need change in this city. And I know I got about 3 minutes left, but before I do that, I want to ask one question. If you could change or give advice to the youth of today, what would that be?
Oh, I mean, stay in school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, number one. I mean, if you don't get at least a high school diploma, you've got no chance in this economy. And, probably be better for you to go on and get either vocational training or an associate's degree or something like that beyond that. I mean, there's just absolutely no substitution for it. And, it's an easy thing to ignore that message, especially when it's coming from grown-ups, but that's the one thing.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I'm going to have you go ahead and give your spiel again to the people and tell them why they should vote for you.
Yeah, so, we've talked about a lot of different things, but I think at the end of the day, we're talking about fairness and we're talking about safety. And those two are related, because when the system isn't fair, as it isn't, when it discriminates on the basis of race, as it does, when innocent people are wrongly convicted, as happens, when people who haven't been convicted of any crime are languishing behind bars just because they can't afford cash bail, which in fact does happen. When that happens, the people lose faith in the fairness of the system, and then they don't cooperate with law enforcement. And without that cooperation between the community and law enforcement, we can't control crime. And so safety and fairness go hand in hand. And like I said before, if you like what's been going on in the last few years of the last decade, you can vote for the status quo, but if not, I think you should vote for change so that we can make the system fairer and thus make our streets safer. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Early voting?
Oh, early voting starts Friday, July 15th. It continues until the end of July, July 30th. Everyone should go out and early vote. It's much more convenient. It's quicker. You can go to any location in the county, get out and early vote between July 15th and July 30th. And if you absolutely have to vote on Election Day, that's August 4th.
Thank you so much, Steve, for being here. I appreciate you, and thank you for clearing up a whole lot of things that we just needed.
Thank you, Towanna.
To have done and have cleared. Thank y'all so much for watching. Listen, Wednesday, my special guest is George Dempsey Summers. He will be with me on Wednesday, and then next Monday I have Mary Lee Harris. You're watching the Towanna Murphy Show right here on Comcast 17 and 31. You can also watch this show live on Roku, Apple TV, on demand, Amazon Prime, what's the Amazon? Yeah, is it Amazon? Amazon, YouTube, Facebook Live, all over. Y'all can watch the show all over the world. I ain't gonna name all of them. It's too many of them to name. I'm just gonna tell y'all. But you can go back and watch the show. You can go back and hear what Steve have to say. And we want you to make the right choice. We want you to first vote. This election is so important, and we need you to vote. Now, Steve has spilled his heart out to you. I'm voting for Steve. I done told y'all. Thank y'all, Derek, Facebook. Thank y'all saying y'all gonna vote for Steve. Vote for Steve. He needs your vote. We have to get Amy out of there. This coming from me, not Steve. So Amy can't blame Steve for nothing I'm saying. We want him out of here. We want her out of here. We want her out of here. We want change in Memphis. And it starts at the top. And you heard him say, she makes the decision. Nobody else. There's no voting. There's nothing. So all the decisions that's been made in this city came from Amy. And she's at the top. So I want y'all to go out and vote. It is important. Voting starts. Early voting is July 15th through the 30th, and voting day is August 4th. We need you there. We need you to vote, and vote for Steve Mulroy for District Attorney. You're watching the Towanna Murphy Show. Remember, news is news. Facts is facts. Miss Ruby sung the blues, and Towanna gonna bring you the news. Until Wednesday, good night and better tomorrows.
4 years ago, we showed that a kid from Whitehaven, the son of a high school guidance counselor and a repairman, could serve and lead in our community. We showed that our greatest strength in our community is our people. Our community is full of young and young at heart, hopeful and successful, native Memphians and millennials who chose the 901. With your help, we can show the world that we can do it again. Let's get started.
Hello, Shelby County. My name is George Dempsey Summers. I am running for the Register of Deeds in the upcoming general election. I'm a lifelong Memphian, married of 20 years. I am currently employed with Shelby County government of 10 years. Prior to that, I was employed with the Memphis City Schools for 31 years. I have been behind the scenes working to serve the community for over 41 years. The reason why I'm running for office is the law on the books needs to be changed. Here in Shelby County, quitclaim deeds are being forged and filed in the Register of Deeds office. That means they are stealing your property. I am asking for your vote to stop the steal. Vote for me, George Dempsey Summers. Early voting, July the 15th. Election Day, August the 4th. Stop the steal. Vote George Dempsey Summers, Register of Deeds.
Paid for by Friends of George Summers.
We're family for all your legal needs. SVP, we're family. We're gonna make you fall in love, fall in love. SVP. We're gonna make you fall in love. SVP TV. SVP. Looking for something new? We thought so. SVP is mixing things up, and digital TV, it'll never be the same. SVP, we're family. We're gonna make you fall in love. SVP. Download the SVP app today.